it would probably be insufficient to say that the boycott on Bud Light is working, because it's doing a whole lot more than just working. It is probably the most successful thing the right has done in the culture war, period, at all. And I don't even know if they can top this, but hopefully so. Hopefully so. You see, right now, Donald Trump is weighing in on the whole controversy, basically saying, get woke, go broke. And at the same time that we're seeing Bud Light sales drop between 21 and 26%, some saying volume is down, maybe even 34% at restaurants. Ladies and gentlemen, gay bars are starting to boycott Bud Light too. Amazing. You know what's really funny is last week we had Lance from the Surfs on the show. I thought it was a fun show despite our disagreements. Thought it was funny. And he said he was happy that Bud Light was being boycotted by the right because Anheuser-Busch funds anti-LGBTQ initiatives and funds Republicans. And I'm just like, so we're all in agreement. Great. I don't care. I don't like the Republican Party. I care about cultural issues. And Bud Light sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney, to me, is not about LGBTQ issues. It is about algorithmic destruction. You guys know I talk about this quite a bit. I don't think Dylan Mulvaney is trans. I think the left will blindly support anything that looks like something on their side to the point where they're destroying themselves. But I think Anheuser-Busch refusing to apologize outright, they deserve this. Anheuser-Busch deserves this because they came out and gave this garbage statement and now they lose everyone. Good. They think that they can insult people like us, not apologize, spend money on marketing, put some people on leave, clearly sending signals they know they screwed up. They won't just say it. Okay. Congratulations, Anheuser-Busch. You've done just enough to piss all of us off and piss off all of the LGBTQ people. So now their bars are boycotting your beer. How amazing would it be if Bud Light just becomes an afterthought and loses its position as the world's top beer? I think it's the world's top beer, right? I could be wrong, but it's up there, especially in the United States. It'd be amazing. But let's read this news, and I'll tell you what Donald Trump is saying and why gay bars are starting to boycott Bud Light. But before we do, this video is sponsored by Cast Brew Coffee. That's right, Cast Brew Coffee. Go to castbrew.com, pick up your coffee. That's our company. We launched Cast Brew. We're launching coffee shops. And with the success of this new business venture, we are going to make a coffee franchise that cares about American values and is not scared to talk about what needs to be talked about. We're not launching a business hoping to attract every single person in the world. We're just trying to sell coffee and stick to our values. That means when we do have thousands of locations all across the country selling this delicious Cast Brew coffee, when it comes to political controversy, we will just say it. Well, I won't dance around the issues. I won't ignore the issues. I won't just fire. I will absolutely say, here's what we did and why we did it. Okay? That's the truth. You want to support us? You want to support this video? You want to support our work? Go to castbrew.com, pick up your Rise with Roberto Jr. breakfast blend. And with every purchase of Rise with Roberto Jr., you get a picture of Roberto Jr. right there on the back. He's our rooster. We also have Appalachian Nights, a dark blend. Roberto Jr. is a light blend. And we have Colombian and French roast available. You can subscribe to get these automatically delivered to you. Support companies that don't hate you. They may hate all of us, but I certainly don't hate you. In fact, I am eternally grateful for all of your support. Hopefully, working together on these ventures, we can create a parallel economy and push back on garbage companies like Anheuser-Busch. But here's the news from thepinknews.com, the official source for all things LGBTQ+. They say, LGBTQ+ venues are ditching Bud Light over claims its parent company abandoned trans influencer Dylan Mulvaney. Anheuser-Busch, the company that owns Bud Light, has been the target of a backlash. Yeah, we get it. The bigots were furious. Oh, the bigots. I love this. It's like a wolf can walk into a field of sheep, put on a wolf hat, a sheep hat, and then be like, look at all those really bad people over there. And the sheep just follow. It's unfortunate. You know, my opinion of Dylan Mulvaney, I don't think Dylan's trans. I really don't. I think Dylan is a caricature of trans as a performance. And it makes it much, much harder to actually deal with these sensitive political issues. Let's read more. They say they smashed shelves, threatened Bud Light with bomb threats. Kid Rock even filmed himself shooting a case of Bud Light. So we know all of this. They go to mention that Anheuser-Busch basically said he never wanted to be part of this discussion, et cetera, et cetera. Sidetrack Bar shared its plan to boycott the beer on Instagram. It said the company's move to distance itself from Mulvaney strongly brings into question their support of the LGBTQ plus community. I love it because Anheuser-Busch was like, we never sponsored this person. It was a third-party agency. By the way, they canned the third-party agency. It's a third-party agency. It was one can. What do? You reap what you sow. These woke companies are walking y'all off a cliff. Here's what Sidetrack Bar had to say. Oh, boy. For 41 years, Sidetrack has encouraged liquor and beer companies that have wished to garner the LGBTQ plus customer base to actively support our community. For many years, there were very few companies that were willing to risk this sort of exposure. Sidetrack appreciates the relationship that have developed with the brands that support us. This support helped to fund initiatives to pass city and statewide human rights ordinances in Chicago, Illinois, and Illinois to include the LGBTQ plus community. Sidetrack continues to be encouraged by the increase in support from brands to the LGBTQ plus community. Over the last 4 decades in the country, support has increased. However, we must also hold brands accountable if they take active steps against equality, visibility, and safety. Bud Light's recent decision to drop the Dylan Mulvaney campaign to put on leave those who created it, as well as the statements by its CEO, wrongfully validates the position that it is acceptable to acquiesce to the demands of those who do not support the trans community and wish to erase LGBTQ plus visibility. In light of this, Sidetrack will cease the sale of Anheuser-Busch products, including Bud, Bud Light, and Goose Island 312. Goose Island, of course, is, I believe they're headquartered in Chicago. I could be wrong, but big presence in Chicago. And good, don't sell it. Until Anheuser-Busch can clearly demonstrate that they will not acquiesce to the voices of hate that wish to erase LGBTQ plus existence, Sidetrack will continue to boycott their products. Until then, Sidetrack will continue to partner with brands that do give back, blah, 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 blah. They also have this, Two Bears Tavern uptown. I'm not going to read the whole statement, but basically saying the exact same thing. And now I want to put it like this. Good for you, Anheuser-Busch. Support a political cause. Do it. I don't care. You know why? Here's what's going to happen. Jeremy Boring of the Daily Wire is probably already having meetings discussing with his team how to launch a beer company. Because every single time one of these major corporations decides to get woke, they create a hole in the market and people are going to get rich. And I got to tell you, to be completely honest, the least profitable thing we've ever done, Cast Brew Coffee. Smells really good, by the way. The least profitable thing. Doing media is easy. The overhead is very, very low. I read the news. I make a video. I complain about things, tell you how I feel about things. You guys watch. There's ads. There's membership subscription. Go to timcast.com, become a member. And for the most part, it allows us to invest heavily in doing other things. So when we launched Cast Brew Coffee, it's very small to begin with. We have 4 products available. We're building a coffee shop right now. It costs a lot of money. Tens of thousands of dollars, and the profit margins are slim. We have to reinvest those profits to expand the company, and the challenge is we don't make enough to do so. If we didn't have this show, if I wasn't making money from this show, I'd be getting bank loans desperately trying to get a coffee company off the ground. It is very hard to do. My point here with all of this is that when it comes to products like Anheuser-Busch, they have massive overhead. Their decision to engage in politics, it's hurting their brand. But you know what? We're going to start from a different point. We're starting from you know what? By all means, be ideological. Good for you. Good for you. You do it. You do it with my blessing. We're going to launch Cast Brew Coffee. We're going to launch these coffee shops. And we are going to be overt and explicit in our ideology. We support American values. We are not in favor of what they're doing with grooming these kids. We reject that. We're going to put Molon Labe on the walls and in the windows. And when we have a coffee shop in every little suburban area of this country, and some woman walks in to get her cold brew with a splash of cream, and while she's waiting for her blueberry muffin to be warmed up, she will look up at the TVs on the wall, and it will be the Patrick Bet David podcast. It will be Steven Crowder. It will be Timcast IRL. These will be the shows that are running in the background. So when people are sitting there, that's what they're going to see. Real conversations and real news. And that's how you win a culture war. And you know what? There will be angry leftists screaming and crying, but we've never catered to them in the first place, so we don't care. You see, here's what Anheuser-Busch did. Anheuser-Busch sold beer. Good for them. They sold beer and then one day said, hey, how do we sell beer to the LGBTQ plus community? Well, guess what? Like any other human being, you didn't have to do anything. You just had to sell beer. Instead, they said, let's directly support the politics of a political group. Well, now you are reaping what you have sown. Anheuser-Busch choosing to play politics results in a crash across the board. So we're not going to play that game. We're starting from the ground up, purely ideological. Purely. For the longest time I said, and a lot of people still say this, nobody wants politics in their coffee or sports or beer or sandwiches. They just want to eat a sandwich. Nah, I'm done. I'm over it. We're going to start a company. We're going to say America's great. And if people don't want to buy America's great, well, then good. They don't have to buy it. But we're going to win. We're going to succeed. And we're going to start undercutting corporate competitors. My dream, to have a coffee shop next to every Starbucks with better pricing, with better wages, with real values. So you don't got to worry about woke garbage. I don't think Starbucks is the worst company in terms of wokeness, but remember when they caved that bathroom thing and it resulted in rampant drug use and the disgusting nature of their bathrooms just went insane? Yeah, don't play those games. I won't. No, we're going to start making these shops and we're going to be explicit. All right, like we love America. This is the best country ever in the history of the world. We have a lot of problems. We're not idiots. But we know that this country is the best. And me, I've been around the world. I've seen a lot of countries. Several dozen. I think I've been to like 34 or some odd countries. Certainly not all of the countries on the planet, but I've seen a lot. And every time I come back, I say, man, America really is awesome. And that's something worth fighting for and preserving. And I think you all agree. So we're gonna push back. And you know who else is speaking up about this? Donald Trump. Newsweek says Donald Trump breaks silence on Bud Light controversy. Former President Donald Trump on Sunday broke his silence on the Bud Light boycott, writing in a social media post that the beer maker's loss in sales shows that money does talk. Oh boy. The MAGA leader made the jab on his Truth Social platform while praising a new book that calls to defund leftist woke companies. Trump has been uncharacteristically silent amid the ongoing controversy over the popular beer brand's decision. Well, we get it. Here's what Trump said. It's time to beat the radical left at their own game. Money does talk. Anheuser-Busch now understands that. Great new book by Wayne Allen Root. Buy your copy today, he said on Truth Social. Trump's comment references the news that Bud Light sales dropped multiple weeks. 21% for the week ending April 21st. I just want to hold on there a minute. So the week ending April 21st, my friends, that's over 2 weeks ago. That means new sales data will be dropping, and we'll see. I would not be surprised to hear that shares of Bud Light had fallen week over week, a lower number, because you can only lose so many customers, right? But here we are looking at year over year. If the year over year data shows a continued decline, well, then it's working. But truth be told, if the year over year sales show that it's actually the decline is reversing, then it looks like many people are abandoning their Bud Light boycott. But I don't believe it, because not drinking Bud Light is the easiest thing in the world to do. We were in Miami recently, because I mentioned I was visiting the Valuetainment crew and going on the Patrick Bet David podcast, the Valuetainment podcast. And we go out to drink and celebrate. Not a single person's going to buy anything related to Anheuser-Busch. We don't think twice. It was not difficult. It was an afterthought. It was like, let's grab beer, not the Bud Light. Let's get the Yuengling. Yuengling's delicious, by the way. Though I'm not a big drinker, I did partake in a Yuengling. You see, here we go. Now, just to spite Bud Light, I've started drinking just so I could drink something else. I've actually had more booze in the past 3 weeks than I've had in the past decade. For real. Wow. I've had 3 drinks. That's a lot. Many of those expressed disappointment in Trump for staying mum on the controversial issue. Hey, we get it. We get it though, right? They say Trump's most recent page disclosures filed with the FEC and shared online shows that he owns between $1 million and $5 million in Anheuser-Busch InBev. Okay, Trump, you really going to hold on to all of that? I think it'd be wise that he sold, but I'm not here to give anybody financial advice. I'm just saying it's surprising that he would speak out against this, yet at the same time, still hold up to $5 million in stock with the company. The New York Post says Anheuser-Busch cans third-party ad agency tied to Dylan Mulvaney fiasco. Well, there you go. They said it was one camp, one influencer, one post, not a campaign, blah, blah, blah. Okay, sure, right? Well, whatever. We got it. This is just a lot of news, Here we go. Bud Light parent company to help distributors amid Mulvaney controversy. I show you these because I want you to see the flames of the dumpster fire that is Anheuser-Busch's inability to apologize. It's your fault. Apologize. I think it's too late, though, at this point. I hope every single leftist boycotts Anheuser-Busch. I hope conservatives keep up the boycott, and I hope the company just implodes completely. And I got to be honest, I'd be very happy to see it completely crumble. Now, the narrative coming out of the executives over at Anheuser-Busch, apparently, is that, here's what they say. In the first 3 weeks of April, sales of Bud Light dropped the equivalent of 1% of the company's overall global volume for that period. For the week ending April 22nd, Bud Light sales in retail stores fell 21.4% compared to a year ago, whereas rival brands Coors and Miller were up by 21%, according to an analysis of Nielsen data by Bump Williams Consulting. That's the narrative that the corporate execs are going with. It's less than 1%, about 1% of global sales. It means nothing. You've got nothing to worry about, except for the fact that the company is now stagnant, slightly down in their stock. They were growing. They had an amazing past several months, and then all of a sudden, just drops down. And I wonder why it is that Molson Coors is going, was it Molson? Molson Coors? Coors is going up. Sales are up. Stock is up. Yo, the investors should be revolting. They should be saying, you have cost us how much money? That, and again, not financial advice. I'm just saying, if somebody did have, say, 100 shares in Anheuser-Busch, and right when this started, sold it all and bought Coors instead, they would have made 20%. 20%. Isn't that amazing? Let's say you put $1 million and you're talking $200,000. Now think about where that could have been if Anheuser-Busch did not decide to get woke and to go broke. You're down a little bit. Mostly stagnant, but down. And the problem still, it may only get worse. Because now that we're hearing that LGBTQ plus institutions are boycotting Bud Light, I imagine that will actually spread. The left is turning up the heat. Whoopi Goldberg said in The View, don't let them scare you, let us scare you. You know what the funny thing is? I'm not here to scare you, Bud Light. I'm here to tell you the truth. I will never buy your beer. We've bought it before. We've had events where we grab Bud Light. It was the beer to grab. Because we're not talking about people cracking open an Old English or sipping and enjoying a good, robust beer. We were like having a barbecue and it's like, we'll grab some beers. And so we was like, grab some Bud Light or something. Modelo. Typically we'd get Modelo. Now I'm not going to buy either of them. Now it's just going to be Yingling all the way down. They had an opportunity, Bud Light, to just stay out of it. But now they've decided that they're going to get boycotts from both directions. And I don't think there's anything to do. I don't think there's anything they can do. Because at this point, if they came out with an apology, I wouldn't accept it. And I really, really do hope that more LGBTQ plus bars start boycotting Anheuser-Busch as well. Because that just means you get woke, you go broke. You know why? The first thing that'll happen is the right will say, we're done with your product. The next thing that will happen is no matter what you do, no matter what you've done, the left will wash you away. So when they talk about all the good that Bud Light did for them politically, which is weird anyway, that was all for nothing. All for nothing. Did Anheuser-Busch come out and insult Dylan Mulvaney? It wasn't us. I mean, that was a third-party company that did that. And that was enough to trigger the left. This works out perfectly for the culture war right. Because the left, once again, is unreasonable. There's nothing you can do. And at this point, maybe I'll say this. Okay, you know what, Anheuser-Busch? If you apologize for sponsoring Dylan Mulvaney, I will buy your beer. You know, I said last week I don't think an apology would cut it anymore, but now that the left is boycotting you, I want to let you know that we are reasonable people. And if you say we're sorry for this whole thing, we're sorry for this campaign with Dylan Mulvaney, we're sorry for the one can, we're sorry for all of it. We did not realize, we weren't even thinking, it won't happen again. I will go out in the immediate, I will buy 10 cases of Bud Light. 10 of them. If you apologize. Now, you do realize that means a lot of the LGBTQ plus bars will probably boycott you. So make your pick. Make your pick. You've lost 21% in sales. You can get it back if you apologize. Now, I can't speak for all of the people who stopped buying your beer, but I can tell you that if you do apologize, I will do my best to advocate on your behalf. Apologize to us. Tell us you won't do it again, and then we will purchase your beer. Right? You're being boycotted by both. Let me extend the olive branch and say, you know what? Come on back. Come back over here. Let those people boycott you. And you know what? When you do, more of them will. But here's the thing. They're unreasonable people. Even if you did all of that work on their behalf, they would still throw you in the toilet the moment it became convenient. But for everybody else, for all the little people who are listening, good job. Seriously. And if you want to support us and you want to help create that ecosystem, castbrewcoffee.com. I'll tell you why. This is exactly why we launched something like Cast Brew. We've had sponsors. Sponsors get pressured from the left and then cancel you. And they'll say, look, we really don't want to be involved in whatever it is you're accused of doing. It's like nothing. They made that up. Well, you know, I don't know about all that. So, okay, fine. Now, to be honest, we haven't really had that issue because we don't really have that many sponsors. I was very particular in who I would allow to sponsor these shows. And so seeing what's happened to many others and seeing these activist tactics of getting ads pulled, I said, we'll make our own company. You know what we're going to do? We'll make our own company. And here's what we'll do. Cast Brew, we're going to start sponsoring other channels. And we're going to pay a premium rate so that other prominent creators that we like will start advocating for our brand. And we will tell you outright that we believe in America, we believe in you, and we want this country to be better. And we're not going to hide. We're not going to shy away. And then my dream, hopefully, in 10 years, 1,000 locations all across this country. 1,000. We'll start with our own brick and mortar corporate locations. We'll start franchising out. Y'all will open your own. And these are stores that will stand for American values. There's the dream. Let's get it. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. on this channel. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.